Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cosmic Girly Cello Chronicles. I am your host, JM. Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. I hope you are well today. Today, someone put this one to me today. Cello envy, or at least cellist envy. I think they meant cellist envy and not cello envy. I don't envy other people's cellos, but I have had envy. Or have I had envy of other cellists? And I think this was a really interesting one to explore, because I think my view on looking at other cellists and their successful careers, if I'm honest, I don't think I've ever been envious. I don't think I've ever looked at another cellist or another musician and said, ugh, that's not fair, how dare they, or, be really jealous of who they are and how they got there. I think for the longest time ever, I've always wanted to be someone let me rephrase. For the longest time ever, I felt like I was someone who was struggling to get anywhere. And I always felt that my background was working against me, and I think in some aspects it was. So, back in the day, like in the 80s and the 90s, there was so much ignorance and microaggressive racism in the classical music industry, and it was really, really hard. I mean, I was young. I was like, I was in my teens, early 20s, and I had to listen to these microaggressions a lot. They were really, really awful. And they really, I don't want to say they shaped my career, but I suppose they certainly played a big part in the amount of energy it took for me to keep going. So the dealing with racism, and then coming from a working class background. So a lot of my peers in the music industry, they had wealthy parents, or they'd gone to schools where there was tons of music support, or basically gone to private schools where they'd gotten loads and loads of educational help. I went to a regular state school. I went to fabulous state schools. They were really lovely, to be fair, really, really lovely, but I didn't get as much help and support as my peers were getting, and I think perhaps that's where, if I was going to be jealous in any way, that's where the jealousy could have reared its ugly head. But I think what was interesting for me was I always recognised that it's like, okay, well, if I want to be as good as these people around me, then I'm just going to have to work I'm going to have to work harder, or I'm going to have to work differently. Now, of course, all of this undiagnosed, spicy, so I didn't even know what I was truly up against, but it was certainly an element of, okay, well, I'm just going to have to work differently. This doesn't feel like it comes so easily to me, so I'm just going to have to find a way around it and work in a way that I can get to be where these people are. So I don't feel that in the early days I had any particular. I would say that I don't think I had any particular jealousy to work through. I think it was very different. I think moving on, I also became, I say moving on, I think I was still quite young when I realised what it was that I wanted to do. But I knew very clearly that I wanted to play the cello. Like, I wanted that to be my career. I wanted that to be my job. I think I was about 9 years old, and I remember saying, when I grow up, I want to be a cellist. I want to play the cello. I want to be famous. But I think the sad part was, because I felt so different, because I could see that I wasn't like the other cellists around me, it felt like perhaps I might not get there. Perhaps it was struggling in ways that I couldn't put my finger on, or ways that I couldn't understand. And so that dream often became hazy, became fuzzy. Like, there were times when it's like, well, I know what I want to do, but I don't really see how I can get to do it. I don't really see how, like, there's nobody who looks like me doing what I want to do. I think there was one other black cellist that I knew at the time, and he was great, but he seemed to just I don't want to say he disappeared, but he wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do. So he was playing cello, but he went on to teach at a cello school. And I remember thinking, well, I don't really want to teach. I just want to play. I want to do the big stuff. I want to do the concerts and the performances around the world and all this. Basically, the stuff that I'm doing now. And I just couldn't see any other cellists who looked like me, who sounded like me, who had the sort of background and upbringing that I had. And so, again, instead of feeling envious, I remember thinking, okay, well, I just don't really know what to do, and trying to find ways that I could just keep going, but that would make sense to me. And what I identified very quickly was that this frustration turned into inspiration. So I had a saying years ago, which was, don't be intimidated, be inspired. And I would often find myself not envious, but intimidated by people who were doing the things that I wanted to do. They didn't look like me. They didn't sound like me. That, like, they weren't me in the future, but they were doing what I wanted to do. And instead of feeling intimidated or jealous, like, oh, that's not fair, I want to do that, that's not fair, I remember feeling inspired. I remember thinking, do you know what, that's so cool, that is amazing, that's what I want to do. I want to go and do that. Someone tell me how to do that. How do I get to do what they're doing? How do I get there? What does the path look like? From there, I would find myself trying to hang out with the people who were doing what it was that I wanted to do. Certainly more so now that I'm older and I have, I've really got clarity on what it is that I want to do, which is be a professional cellist, traveling the world, playing the cello, doing gigs, whether it's solo, ensemble, orchestral, doesn't matter. Well, it does matter to me, but knowing what I want to do, which is basically I want to perform, I knew that it didn't make sense to be jealous of these people. It made sense to understand these people. It made sense to connect with them so that I could understand and see a clearer path to where I wanted to go. So for me, I had to identify some things. I knew that I wanted to be a cellist. Let's say I'm talking, where are we now? Let's say I'm talking 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I really honed in on what it was that I wanted to do. And that was, I want to play cello for weddings. That's what I want to do. That's where I'm at. That's what lights me up. That's what feels awesome. So I had to identify that. I had to understand that. And then I also had to understand who it was that I wanted to be in that moment. If I'm going to play cello for weddings, am I just looking at quartet work? Am I looking at being part of a group? Am I looking at being a soloist? Do I want to play for ceremonies, or do I just want to, do background music for drinks receptions? What does that even look like? Who do I want to be when I do these things, when I do these events? And then something that was a really beautiful, game-changing, crowning moment was the belief, or understanding the belief, of whether or not I could do the things that I wanted to do. And again, this all had to come from within. If I spent too much time focusing on what everyone else was doing and being jealous of them and being upset by them and, going off and being all, how dare they? They're just, how dare they go off and do this? Or who do they think they are? And I know people who have done this because it's happened to me. I have had many, many haters over the years. And I know that that's jealousy, and that makes me really sad, because I'm like, but you could do this too. You could have this. You could be, do and have all the things that you want to be, and the things you want to do, and the things you want to have. You can do this. And so I had to recognise that within myself, and jealousy just did not fit in that story for me. And so I had to bring my own story back to myself, because it is my story. And I had to identify whether or not I believed I could do these things. And I was like, well, I want to do them. I feel like I can do them. And if I don't try them, then I'll never know. So maybe right now I should just believe that I can do the thing, and then just go and do. Like, it just felt like a no-brainer to say to myself, do you know what? Yeah, okay, I believe I can do this. I have to believe I can do this. And even in the moments when I don't believe I can do it, I have to feel like I can believe it. What's this say? They say fake it till you make it. That doesn't work for me. What works for me is feel it till you believe it. It has to be that way. If you can't feel it, then you're not going to believe it. You're not going to get there at all. But if you can feel it, if you can tell yourself, well, you know what, I feel like I could be, and that's a starting point, then cool. I might actually just get there. I also had to identify why I wanted to do the things that I wanted to do. Well, they light me up. They bring me so much joy. Playing the cello at a wedding, that is so amazing. It lights me up. Playing cello in orchestras, incredible, absolutely amazing. And I know that brings joy to other people as well. I know that when people contact me to play at their wedding, I know that it brings them so much joy. I know that it lights them up. I know that it feels amazing for them. Because it's what they've asked for. It's part of their dream. It's part of their vision. It's part of their belief. I believe that I could have a cello playing solo. I could have a cellist playing solo cello for my wedding. And I believe that they can play the music that I want them to play. Belief, felt it, done it. And then it happens. And other people love that. And so I love that. And it's a back and forth. I don't know if you're into human design. If you're into human design, I'm a generator. And my response is, my energy is to respond. And so when someone responds in a positive way and lights up, I'm like, yes, let's go. And it's just like a back and forth the whole time. It's awesome. So envy, not so much. Alignment, belief, enjoyment, inspiration, very much so. And it's just so much better to be in that space and really love what I'm doing and focusing on my story rather than paying too much attention to someone else's story, because that's usually where the jealousy comes in. Is if, you know, you're rubbernecking and paying attention more to someone else than to yourself, then yeah, of course it's going to be envy, because you're not nurturing your own story. I had to nurture my own story, and that felt like a brilliant thing to do, so that's what I did. And that's how I've been able to get to where I am now and keep going to the other places that I can see myself going to. And it feels awesome. And I'm looking forward to those things. I encourage you to do the same. I encourage you to look at your own story. If you're feeling jealous of what someone else is doing, look at what's happening in your own story and where there's areas that could be fulfilled by your own self, by your own beautiful self. Okay, I hope that's been a bit of an inspiration talk this morning as well. I say this morning, I mean, I'm still... it's morning for me as I'm recording. 8:24 a.m. as I record this. Get me, what a start to the day. So yeah, I hope that's a bit of inspiration for you. I'd love to know how that feels for you. And if you're struggling with that, give me a shout. I'm not going to charge or anything like that. I'm happy to have a conversation. But yeah, let me know where you're at with this, if that is something that resonates with you. And if you found this helpful, please do leave a comment. I'd love to have a discussion in the comments. I'd love to do that. If you've really, really found this episode helpful or useful or enjoyable, then, please do share it or subscribe or follow or all of the above. That's really amazing for me. And it really helps support my little podcast here in this teeny tiny space on the ginormous internet that we have. Okay, go and have a great day, evening, night, whatever it is that you're doing. And I will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you later. Bye.